The views and commercials of the following programs are not owned by KPPM 93.5 FM.
All right, friends, we are back here on 93.5 KPPM, and we are your community-minded station. And friends, I am joined by none other than the man with the plan. That's right, I'm talking about none other than State Representative Wilford Carter. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing fine. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, we've got a lot that has happened, a lot that is going on in our government here locally. The governor has signed some things in and done some things, especially as it affects us as our insurance is concerned. But tell us a little bit about what's going on and what you've been up to and how people can.
Well, we've been fighting to try to complete the three suits we have with the congressional districts and the Supreme Court, and we seem to have won those suits. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, did file suit in the Western District in order to stop that two black districts for Congress, and they granted an injunction. But the Supreme Court yesterday stayed that injunction, which means we will run in the fall with two black congressional districts going to Congress. So that's quite an achievement. And also we'll have two black Supreme Court justices in the fall as well. So that's progress. Now we're going to have to settle the state legislature. The judge have found that the legislature violated Section 2 by not creating 6 more black seats in the House and 3 more black seats in the Senate. So she's going to have a remedy probably the next month or so hearing to see what you're going to have a special session or what. But one of the most important things that's coming out of the House is House Bill 800. That's a House bill to create a constitutional convention. And a constitutional convention was scheduled to start on May 30th to June 2nd. But there's a whole lot of uproar about it that we thought they already had a convention, a constitution written up by the lobby and the Pelican Institute, two conservative Republican think tanks, and we filed a Freedom of Information Act to the governor and asked him what information he had, share a copy of this proposed constitutional amendment to us, the new articles, and he said he used executive privilege or legislative privilege. So if he didn't have nothing, he wouldn't have to use this executive privilege. So we kind of suspect he does have a constitution already in place. What would happen under the present situation if it gets out the Senate? It's stuck in the Senate committee, and they're trying to get it out. Our session got to end by June 3rd, and so they plan to try to get it out next week. We're on recess in the House on Monday, get it out next week, and then we have this Constitutional Convention. My problem with the Constitutional Convention is going to be delegates would be politicians. The legislators, the House Representative, and the Senate will sit as delegates, and the governor will appoint 27 more delegates, and each delegate, by the majority vote, have to approve each article. Now, we got some very important articles in our Constitution, 14 to be exact. Article 5 is where they're going to start. That's the judiciary. And you know we have 34% judges in the state are black, and we're afraid that lobby don't like that many black judges, and they're going to try to come up with special courts to get around the district court judges. And I had an amendment in order to try to force them not to change the jurisdiction authority of district judges or court appeal judges, and they rejected that amendment. So I think they got a plan to have a whole system, new specialty court handling business claims, like 18-wheel claims of a certain amount. Anything over $250,000 would go to the specialty court, and it'd be appealable right to the Supreme Court. So that what big business want. More conservative judges doing it, a specialty court, that they have to probably be appointed. These people probably be appointed, not elected. So we're afraid what they may do to the sub-districts in the judiciary in the Article 5. And then we have Article 13 that's very important, which has to do with the commissions and boards, education, all the commission and boards. Right now, the governor appoints a lot of these people, but we think he's going to put himself in position to have him appoint all the chairmen. So imagine the chairman of the Southern University Board and the chairman of the LSU Board, plus the other board members appointed by the governor. They can do what they want to do. They want to try to merge Southern with LSU. They would try to do that if he controls the board. And so we kind of concerned about happening. Then we have Article 7 deals with taxation, and that he may provide some type of taxation, added tax in order to generate money for the state, because we expect to have a deficit of at least $500 million. We don't renew this sales tax, 1 cent sales tax. So that Constitution Convention should be made up of people elected from the House District, not politicians. Politicians are worried about the next election. They're going to be controlled by special interest groups, and so the people with the money are going to write the Constitution, and the people ought to write the Constitution. So that's why we cannot do a Constitution in 2 weeks. It's impossible unless you already got one prepared. We just got to prove it, and I think that's what the governor's doing. I think it's a con, and so and I said as much at the podium in the debate. So we need to try to fight it. Right now, they don't have the votes in the Senate to get out of committee, but he's working real hard, putting pressure on Republicans. They got 2/3 of the votes on both houses, so they're going to try to put pressure on their members to pass this thing. The Democrats not going to vote for it. So we'll see what happens next week. And the other thing that's happened that's very impactful on the people, they've changed a lot of the voting laws. In other words, people have these voter registration drive, and now before you have a drive, you got to register Secretary of State. If you don't register Secretary of State, you may very well find yourself being prosecuted for either a civil or criminal felony violation. And now you can get around it by doing it on iPad, doing it directly with the Go Vote app. And you can get around that required registration. And so also, it used to be people could go to their friend's house, their couples that too old, and help them fill out an absentee ballot and witness for them. They passed a law saying you only can fill out one absentee ballot a cycle. So one election cycle, one absentee ballot. Some people know as many as 30 or 40 or 100 people. They go around to their house and help them with their ballots, and they witness for them. But now you can't do that. You can't witness but one time. You got to be an immediate family member to witness the ballot, okay? And they get a ballot that's not properly witnessed, they'll throw that ballot out, see? And you got, on the ballot, ask for your mother's maiden name. If you forget to put your mother's maiden name, they throw the ballot out. They used to not do that. They used to count the ballot, and you can come in and they'll call you, get your mother's maiden name.
Wow.
So the idea is to do away with voting as much as possible. We also passed a law that says that the commission in charge can remove anybody from the voting center that they feel like it's, or call the police and have them removed if they create any type of disturbance. Like you have a celebrity there encouraging people to go vote, they can have that person removed, but they cannot remove a person with a gun, AK-47. You can have it in the line, one of those AR-15. You can be in a line with AR-15. You just can't go in the building. Okay, so that can be an intimidation of people. You're gonna have one of these Nazi people can stand on the street with an AK-15, AR-15, and just threaten people. Intimidate people. And I think that's horrible. I don't think the commissioner has the authority to pick and choose who can go to the voting booth. And you can't bring the gun into the vote and play, but outside in the line you can. But then you can't give people water or food to stand in the line, because they got these poles set up where you got to stand in the line to wait in a lot of areas. So what they do in Lake Charles, we don't have too much of a long line, but sometimes we have a line. And so people offer water, people can't offer them the water because they want to discourage people from voting, okay? So when people vote, the conservative element lose. They don't want to change their agenda or their policies in order to attract people. They want to keep people from voting because they'll fear as things go on, they'll have less chance of winning office. So that's a big thing. Also, we got a lot of bills we passed on voting, and talk about that all day. That I consider, we created a voting integrity session in the Secretary of State's office. We don't need no voting integrity section because we don't have any voting problems in Louisiana. We have prosecuted but one person in the past 4 years for voter fraud, and then that didn't go to trial. Okay, so we don't have a voting problem. They want to look like they have a voting problem to discourage people from voting, to pass laws to make it harder to vote, because they want to do away with democracy altogether. You don't heard Trump's rhetoric. If he gets elected, he wants to clamp down and become an autocratic type form of government. That's what a lot of whites wants to do, and a lot of Trump Republicans wants to do. We got a chance to avoid that if we elect Biden. So that's a big thing right now, to try to elect Biden. Now, by having Louisiana with the second black congressman, Alabama with the second black congressman, and I think we're gonna get a couple out of Wisconsin and maybe out of Michigan, then we'd be able to take over the House. and New York have about 5 or 6 seats that they should have gotten last time, but the judge kind of screwed it up because they were too gerrymandered. So they trying to work that out. They may come out with a couple more Democrats, and so we may, if a little luck, if we all go vote. Our main problem, we don't go vote. If we go vote, then we may have a Democratic House of Representatives with Jefferson being the first black Speaker of the House in the history of the country. So that's very, very big. We also changed our criminal justice system. We had a whole session on criminal justice. And criminal justice now, if you get sentenced after July the 1st, then you won't get good time, you won't get parole. So you have to serve 85% of your time. Louisiana has about 32,000 people in the Department of Correction right now, and they about 60% of them are housed in local jails, parish jails. They don't get no rehab, they don't get no medical help that's reasonable, and they just housed and fed a minimum amount of food to survive. And a lot of them in facilities with no air conditioning, and they're overcrowded. But they only cost $28 a head. You put them in the state institution. We got 9 state institutions, 8 of them owned by the state, 9 of them owned by a private entity. Well, those institutions has to provide on the federal law a certain amount of space into the prison, a rehab for the prisoner, Medicaid for the prisoner, and decent food for the prisoner. And they don't want to have to be forced to do that because they want to incarcerate more people. Louisiana is the second highest state in homicides, okay? And we're the 3rd poorest state in the country. Mississippi is the poorest state and the number 1 in crimes of violence. West Virginia is the 2nd poorest state, but they're not in the top 10 in violence. Louisiana is the 3rd poorest state, and that poorest state is based upon per capita household income for a family of 4. What is the per capita household income of a family of 4? It's around $25,000, the poverty line. So you fluctuate around that poverty line, 2 people working and the 2 kids, and they're only bringing in the house about $25,000, $26,000, $27,000. Well, then these people they need help. And so the Republicans trying to keep them from getting help. And so we passed a lot of laws on the books. This session is going to hurt a lot of working people. We continue to make a record. We can make a record and we can file a suit. If we, in some cases, like on this Constitutional Convention, we'll probably file a suit. Our suit will probably be based on the fact that this legislature is in violation of Section 2. Those people that was elected in this last election process violate Section 2 because they didn't have the 6 black House districts and the 3 black Senate districts. They didn't want to do it because it would take the supermajority from them, and they have 73 members in the House and 26 in the Senate. So they don't want to do the right thing, and they delay. So why would an illegally constituted a House and Senate be the ones that do the new Constitution? The Constitution should last 50 to 100 years, and the last time it done it in '74. That's about 50 years ago, and it is too thick. It is got too much stuff in it. It's 79,000 pages. The United States Constitution is 4,225 words. It's 70,300 words, and so it's so much bigger than the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution has survived over 250 years. If Trump don't get elected, it'll survive longer. But the Louisiana Constitution is really too big. We've been in it almost every session for past 50 years, and so we got to take some stuff out of the Constitution and put it in statute. And I agree. I don't have a problem with that. But we don't need to change nothing to protect people's rights, the right to vote. So, for example, one of the articles deal with the right to vote, and they can change that right to vote. And so we are concerned about that. So we don't want a convention made up of politicians or controlled by the governor. The governor also, I heard, wants to increase the term of the governor from 2-term, 4-year term to 2.5 terms, to 10 years. What sense does that make? So what the plan is to be more Trump-like in Louisiana. And we need to resist it as much as we can because we're losing rights all the time. So insurance companies have also made an indent by taking opportunities away from injured people. For example, if you got in an accident prior to this session and you did not have a injury to your chest, you never had any problem with your chest, and after the accident you had problems with your chest, that is presumed to be caused from the accident, that presumption that the injury was caused by the accident, and so you don't have to prove anything, but the doctor just say, hey, he didn't have any problem with pain from his chest or his back or his head. After the accident he had problems, so the accident was the cause. They did away with that presumption in the law. Okay. And so presently you have to prove that the injury you had by expert testimony was caused by the accident. It's not a presumption anymore. That's just one bill they passed. They passed another bill to deal with cases involving these $1 million cases, accident cases. People got brain injury, stuff like that, and a lot of time they hire a firm to help them finance the case because the insurance company got a lot of money to fight the insurance company. Well, they're doing away with, they're making you tell them who you hire, getting your money from to prosecute your cases, who you sharing your fees with, because a plaintiff lawyer may go into a contract with a company who business it is to help finance these accident cases, so these people get the claim prosecuted the way they deserve. And so they cutting back on that, and so they want to let the jury know that you got a third party financier that's gonna get some of that money if you win the case. But at the same time, you can't tell the jury that you got a insurance company, the defendant got an insurance company, an insurance policy. So you got to file a suit in the name of the person who caused the fault. So like the defendant driver. The defendant driver is John Doe. You don't sue John Doe and his insurance company, State Farm. You just sue John Doe. So State Farm name's nowhere in it. Okay, and so let the jury guess that maybe this judgment might be against this man and not this insurance company. There's no deep pockets. So you can't tell the jury that he got insurance or how much insurance he got, but you can tell the jury that the plaintiff hired a firm to help finance the case. So it's totally unfair. It's totally designed to, they say it's going to reduce insurance rates. We passed a bunch of bills about 3 years ago supposed to reduce insurance rates. They're going up. So we got some serious problem with the changes in the law that's been made in this last couple of sessions, the 2 special sessions and this session we're in now. And we might have even more damage to people's rights with the Constitutional Convention.
Yep.
So it's a continued struggle.
Absolutely. And you've covered quite a few topics. I mean, the judicial districts, criminal rights, income poverty, constitutional matters and rights, also voting, and now insurance. And one of the questions that was posed when folks know you were coming is there has been some talk, and we've got just a few minutes here, but there's been some talk about, now the insurance companies have the right to drop you without necessarily probable cause, or if there's a storm or something. Can you speak a little bit to that through what the governor did?
Yes. Actually, there's a provision in the law that's passed. It hasn't been come, I don't know if the governor signed it yet. It's passed the House, and I think it's in Senate. I don't know if it voted out the Senate, but the governor has said he would sign it. And basically it allows you got to notify the insurance company of changes in your insurance contract, like if you got a dog at the house, or like if you got a swimming pool, or like if you're using the house as other people live in the house, like, and they can use any of these things to drop your insurance, okay? And so what they've been doing, if you get a cost them so much money, they can do an analysis and say, well, it's not worth us having this policy, so we just drop it. I'll give you an example. Now, I'm pretty able to pay my own insurance. I got in a truck wreck last year, and my truck, I was not driving, had somebody driving for me. It was total loss. It's a 22 GMC Denali. And so they had to replace that truck. And the prices at the time was $96,000. I paid $80-something for the truck. It was $96,000. They paid the $96,000 because they wasn't going to mess with me. I was going to make them pay the $96,000. They paid the $96,000 and bought me another truck. But they dropped my insurance. So it was no fault of mine. But they still dropped the insurance. They can do that. Okay, and that's totally unfair. Say a person, what they do, they look at the markets and see if you're a low-income person and you might struggle paying your home insurance, they may not want to do business with you. They want to do business with a person making a lot of money with a bigger house, with bigger insurance. So it gives the insurance commissioner, give the insurance company so much discretion. We had $50 million. We will give them a grant to do a $5 million worth of policies, write $10 million worth of policies, and we give them $5 million to help them contract into Lake Charles. That didn't work. They took all the money, but they're still dropping people. So when they drop a person with insurance, they have to go to the state-funded insurance program, okay? And that's a state agency that cover people that can't get insurance from other places, and it's usually about 10% higher rate, okay? And so we got more and more people up on that insurance coverage, the state insurance, and it's just making a hardship on the state and a hardship on the people, because they have increased the policies. For last time I checked, this year they're going to increase the policy like 15%.
Okay.
So why I can understand they made a lot of payments during the hurricane, but a lot of stuff has not been resolved. But why give them automatic right to increase the policy at least 15%?
Yeah.
And so that's very hard on working people.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people be found with no insurance on their house.
Absolutely.
And another storm come around, and we live in a time of global warming. We're going to have harder hurricanes, more damaging hurricanes. So we need to put more pressure on this insurance company in order to get a lot of these people have been paying policies for years with no claims,
Right,
and now
right.
they get dropped.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's fair.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I tell you, Representative, I know you
I want
know.
to make one other important point. We passed the MFP. The MFP cannot be amended in the legislature. You can only reject it, okay? Accept it or reject it. The MFP, they passed a bill saying that the money follows the students. So basically, if you got a kid in private school, you could choose to send your kid to a private school, not to public school. You will get an allowance from the MFP to that private school of $5,100. Right now, you get a credit, a tax credit of $6,000. You send a kid to private school. Say it costs you $8,000 sending your kid to private school, and some people it costs you $8,000 and $10,000. And so you're gonna get a $6,000 credit from your taxes, and you're gonna get $5,100. That's $11,000. So you're paying people that got their kids in private school that chose to send their kids to private school for whatever reason they did, taking the money from the public school sector. MFP was designed for the public school. What that does, they make less money available to match the federal funds to get more programs. Okay? And so they cutting. Have a teacher pay raise. We should have had a $2,000 pay raise, and we needed $76 million for that, and they cut it by $39 million. So we can't give them the whole $2,000. We give them like a $1,500 pay raise, and that's not fair because last year we made a deal with the then governor that we're going to be allowance this time, but next time it's going to be a pay raise.
Right.
This 2024, but they reduce it and they put that money in tutorial programs, and so and they pay teachers, special teachers that are hard to get, more money. So you got a science teacher you want to get from somewhere. All the teachers not going to get it. They give it to certain teachers they want to give it to. You know how that's going to work out. It's not going to be a fair process.
Yeah.
You know, some scientists are going to get it, and some scientists not going to get it. One is tight with the superintendent going to get it. So we don't like that process. We want something that everybody get it a fair amount throughout. So all teachers are important, not just math teachers or science teachers. The English teacher, the social studies teacher, they're important too. And they also pass a lot of law as to how you deal with kids. If a kid wants to be known as another name other than their born gender, then you can't do that. You can't call a kid a name. But what does the state has in the business, getting into people's business? You got a child that's named Helen, and she don't want to be known as Helen because she's not satisfied with her gender. So all her friends know her by Henry, okay? And she wants to use the name Henry. But in the school system, the law says that you cannot use that name Henry, even though everybody know her by that name. Got to use the name of your birth gender. You know, and a lot of kids get a little emotional about that, and because they don't like their gender. And we passed a law that curtails the ability to change the gender. You know, it's a process. The medical society has a requirement that is part of the standard of care, that you got to have 2 years of counseling. You and your parents have 2 years of counseling. You got to have the hormones process shot first. Then you have the surgery. You got to have continued hormones before you change the gender. So they made it impossible to do in Louisiana. Louisiana is the only state, but we weren't doing gender changes anyway. People go up north to Boston and to Hopkins in Baltimore or in places in Houston to do that, specialized in gender change. We didn't even need the law, but it's just a woke type thing, they call it. So when you say woke, I asked them, what do you mean by woke? And basically I got out of it, anything that's not European culture is woke. Anything that's homosexual culture, Black history culture, Mexican Latino culture, that is considered woke. The anti-diversity, we passed a bill that says all the schools, all the high schools, all the colleges got to report to the best as to what is their diversity program, how many people got working, what they're paying these people. So they want to cut out diversity. Diversity is a process by which you bring different people together to experience the college life, okay? From overseas, from disadvantaged people, or people of color, is to attract them to the school. So they want to do away with diversity completely, to get the advantage to only European Americans to go to these preferred colleges.
Yeah.
All right, but I can talk all day on it. I'm sorry. We got cut it
no,
off.
you're good. And I know we have another show to get to. And so what I'm going to do, Representative, is we're going to get with you in your office and get you back in here
Anytime.
real soon so that we can wrap up some more of this, because I know there's a lot that happens and 30 minutes is a short time to try to condense it to. So we're going to talk with you
All
some
right,
more, and I
thank you very
appreciate
much,
your
and I
time.
enjoyed it, and thank the audience for having patience to listen to us.
Yes, sir. You be blessed, my man. All right. All right, friends. You have been listening to an interview.